So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for buying a $50,000 guitar for $4,000 and refusing to sell it back when the buyer found out the real value? So if you haven't already, please consider subscribing down below. As we're getting more populated on DecoyNoise, the comment section is getting much greater, so you want to be in on the conversation as soon as the video goes up, so make sure those notifications are on. But let's just go ahead and get to the thread right now. So OP writes, "This happened a while back. My wife and I still talk about it every once in a while. She's on my side, and most of our friends and family are. However, when it happened, it was like World War III between us and her coworkers and others." So here we go. "I've been playing the guitar for 22 years. I know guitar values and whatnot very well. I'm very into the guitar market. At my wife's old company, she was hanging out with her coworkers one day after work, and she mentioned that I play guitar. A coworker, who I guess is very popular at work, said that his dad passed away and he was selling his dad's things. His dad had a guitar and asked my wife if I'd be interested in it. My wife texted me and I said I'd have him send me the info on the guitar and the price. The next day he texted me the price and the pics. It was a 1952 Telecaster in mint condition. He had the original receipts, which is crazy. That's how I knew the date. I asked what he wanted for it, and he said he looked up Telecasters online and he thinks $4,000 is fair. I texted back, I'll take it for $4,000, and went to pick it up. The guitar had no sentimental value to him at all. Here's the issue at hand. The guitar was/is worth approximately $50,000 depending on the buyer, and I knew it. Oh. When I got the guitar, I told my wife the price and what it was worth. She was floored. Fast forward 2 weeks and a coworker tells my wife he just found out what the guitar was actually worth from a family friend and wanted it back. She said, well, he really likes guitar and he knew it was worth $50,000, which is why he was floored when you offered it to him for $4,000. He really likes it and I doubt he will sell it back, but you can ask. Probably not the smartest thing for her to say, but she was caught off guard and it's not her fault or problem. He contacted me and asked to buy it back. I said it's not for sale. He then said I scammed him and he was going to sue me and take my wife to HR for being a part of the scam. Which is nuts. But he did actually contact HR. They were cool about it and said it's not their problem, it's between him and me. Over the next few months, he made things very uncomfortable for my wife at work. He would bug her constantly about it. She eventually had to go to HR for harassment, and they actually let him go. She complained twice and he was warned and didn't stop. He's contacted me several times about it, so I got a restraining order for harassment too. I blocked him too. I haven't heard from him in about a year, so am I the antagonist? So it looks like down below there's an update, but like always, I want to take Decoy Court is just the knee-jerk reaction of what the story was in the very beginning. I'll give my response. We'll go over some top comments, some controversial comments, your comments down below, and then take it to Decoy deliberation and try to figure out who's the real antagonist and what the theoretical punishment should be in the end. So I'm going to go ahead and say right now that in all these situations concerning money, I would always ask myself in OP situation, would they do it for me? Like if he said, oh yeah, $50,000 and he went out and bought it, and then when he opened it up, it's like, wait, this isn't a Telecaster, this is a counterfeit, or like, oh, the neck is bent, so actually I can't use it, it's worth $4,000 instead of $50,000. Would the guy turn around and say, okay, here's your $50K back, or here's your 46 grand back for the difference? I'm willing to bet no. I'm willing to bet that if you buy something, you just buy it the way it is, unless it's like a vehicle where there's something wrong with it that you couldn't tell, but just the idea that I just doubt it. I doubt that he would ever, if he's going to be that adamant about getting his 46 grand extra, he would have been that adamant about not giving it up. So the other issue is, it seems that, I guess it's kind of hard to say that the wife is the antagonist because she kind of instigated it by saying, well, it's worth that much money, and he knew it, that's why he jumped at the price. Like, that only exasperated the issue. But I imagine even if he didn't know that OP was aware of it, he still would have said, it's a scam, give me the money back and all that old jazz. And the other situation is, it's not like it was I said gold bar, but that's not a good analogy, but it's not like it was just cash. Like it was a transactional thing. It was, the guitar is only worth what they're willing to pay for it. And in that moment, someone was willing to pay and sell it for $4,000. That was the value of the guitar. Just because later on, now the guitar is worth $50,000, knowing new information, doesn't mean that every single time the guitar changes value, we can renegotiate the deal. That's like renegotiating deals of, like, you know, future value given, not something that's already been like sent like changed hands. So in a random thing. It's like, what if Telecaster, the company, or the guy that played the Telecaster, because I don't know much about it, becomes like this giant racist, and or the company is like, Telecaster is a front for a company that dumps oil down baby otters' necks or something. Like, oh my god, Telecaster's worth nothing. So if he bought it for 50 grand, could he go back and say, actually, nobody's buying Telecasters 50 grand anymore, I need that 46 grand back? It would have been a no. So I just have a hard time thinking that you can sell something and then just change the amount afterwards just because now it's more, now it's less, now it's more, now it's less. That just seems like, you know, that's not a good precedence to start. And just the other idea, like, okay, I can't see a situation where your hourly rate should be worth more than hourly rate of fighting for this Telecaster and losing your job is going to be worth more than the money that you would get. And the idea is like, he doesn't get the cash in hand, he still has to sell the guitar. So I mean, obviously, whenever I take a stronger stance on anything, I get blasted in the comments. But like I say, I got thick skin. Tell me whatever you want. Get mad at me. Tell me I'm wrong. Oh my god, you're a loser, Decoy, blah, blah, whatever. Just let me know in the comments down below. Pause the video, earn yourself that Decoy Koi coin, because I just still reward good comments. I may or may not be able to see or reply to every comment like I was before, but I still read every single one of them. So give me good feedback, because I like to see what you guys are thinking. But let's go ahead and read the update in this story right now. Oh, here it is. So update. Well, this post blew up way beyond what I was expecting. It looks like I was voted not the antagonist. There's over 5,000 comments. I couldn't read them all, but I did read a lot. Just to clear up some things. I left some things out because I didn't want it to influence the opinions and really wanted it to be about me buying a guitar at a significantly lower value than people in the story. I did include the fact that the guy was harassing my wife at work, not to make like the guy sound bad, but because I thought it was relevant to the story. Here's some specific details I chose not to include. The guy and his dad were not close at all. So those people saying he was grieving and I took advantage of him, that's 100% not the case. When I went to get the guitar, he was telling me he hadn't talked to his dad in 6 years and was actually annoyed that he had to deal with the funeral. Okay, valuable info. The dad bought the guitar new and never played it. Luckily, it was stored in the closet and not in a basement or attic. There's no issue with the wood or electronics. It plays like a dream and I couldn't be happier. I'm not selling the guitar to the son or anyone. It would be for me for a long time. I'm in my 30s, so I may be 30 years, I'll find a new home. I would have maybe considered giving the guy more money or giving him one of my guitars to sell as his own, but I decided not to do it after he left a terrible voicemail on my phone the day he found out the real value. He demanded it back like he was entitled to an object sold fair and square. He called me a piece of crap, called my wife a piece of crap, and said that he would do bad things if I didn't sell him the guitar back. Oh yeah. And to those people who say they would have told the guy the real value, that's a load of horse crap. If you went to a garage sale / estate sale and saw an item worth $5,000 priced at $50, there's not a snowball's chance in heck that you would walk to the homeowner and tell him that they'd mispriced it. You'd buy the item and tell all your friends and family what a great score you got. Don't even kid yourself like you wouldn't do that. I feel bad about buying an awesome guitar at a steal of a price. I was curious what others would think, and it looks like I'm not the antagonist, so thank you, Reddit. I can play the guitar at zero guilt now. Not like I felt guilty before, but now my feelings are justified. And that's a situation right there. It's like he said that, hey, I might have cut him a deal, but he didn't go from like, hey, one of two angles he could have done. Like, oh my god, like, if the guy was smart, he would have came to him and said, it's worth 50 grand. Hey man, I made a huge mistake. Like, the guitar is like an heirloom. I didn't realize it. Like, this is the guitar that me and my dad played whenever I got the cold and I stayed home from sick from school. Like, I had a lot of resentment towards my dad in the end, but you know, I feel like I should have forgave him there, so can I get the guitar back? And the guy seems reasonable. He probably would have got the guitar back and been able to sell for 50 grand right off the bat, but he didn't. So in the Game of Thrones, you win, what is it? You win or you die. And this guy, unfortunately, he lost a guitar. And then also the idea that he didn't do the whole, you know, go to his empathy. It'd be one thing if he tried the whole like, yeah, it's an heirloom. I really miss my dad. Can I get the guitar back? And then after he says no, he's like, well, F you. You're a piece of crap. Your wife's a piece of crap. Like, if he did it that way, okay, that'd make a little more sense. But he didn't. He just went straight to you're a piece of crap. So I've always found it bizarre when someone's about to ask you for something nice, or like if you had a fast food joint and you see someone going up to the cashier like, oh my god, this burger's not well done, blah blah blah, I don't think of that, and they're yelling at the guy, and it's like, essentially, yeah, you bought the burger for it to be a particular way, but you're asking them to do you a favor. Hey, I'm unsatisfied with this item, can you remake it for me? Can you give me another one? You know, be nice to the guy at some level, because you're about to get something from them. Why come at them all aggressively? Just be like, hey, I wasn't aware of it. Is there any way we can, like, you know, I can get a fair price for it or something like that? He may or may not have been more receptive to it. So, like I was saying, I don't really think he's the antagonist. So, like I always say, pause the video, take a short break. Let me know what you think down below before we go to those prospective top comments, those controversial, insane comments down there, and then we're gonna kind of deliberate a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and just go to those top comments right now. So the top comment is, not the antagonist. When you sell something, it's your responsibility to know or determine what it's worth to the person you're selling it to. And then edit, I absolutely agree. And the next reply is, that's not necessarily true. In some countries, what OP did might even be illegal. In Germany, for example, I know a contract can be considered disputable or even void if the bot object had properties either one of the parties didn't know about that would have influenced their decision to be a part of said contract. That's partly to make sure that people don't get conned by other people who have way more expertise in something. I'm not sure whether that holds for private contracts too, though, but still, the seller obviously didn't know the real value of the guitar, and if he hadn't known, he wouldn't have been giving it to OP for the $4,000, which OP knew, hence him not asking, are you sure about the price? Plus, to be honest, OP is pretty effing stupid for doing that to someone their wife worked with. They basically scammed someone, felt really effing good getting such a steal from someone who didn't know the real worth of something they just inherited because of their knowledge OP has because of a particular interest of theirs, and now they'll get all Pikachu-faced that the other person is angry and made things crap for OP's wife at work. Harassment still isn't okay in any shape or form, but before I would have said you're the antagonist, but with harassment, everybody sucks here. So the one thing I'll say is just like, okay, so he's talking about like not private contracts, like other people being conned. So it's an idea where it's like, hey, if I buy a property to like build a home on or build a strip mall on, and later on we find out, hey, look, there's a huge oil depositor, like a Stegosaurus fossil or something. I don't know what it is, but if all of a sudden the property becomes way more valuable later on when we discover more information about it, we don't, how do you prove that I knew about it or I didn't? It's just, you can't. He obviously admitted that he knew that the guitar was more valuable, but it's so difficult to say like, hey, look, let's just protect all stupidity and just make sure no one gets effed over ever. Like, it's, I hate to be callous, but it's just a situation where it's like you can't baby everybody because he doesn't know everything about a guitar. It's kind of his responsibility. Obviously, I'm contradicting what this person says right here, but just the idea that I don't think that you should be protected because you're just careless with your belongings. And the idea that he says, like, you know, OP's stupid because he knew that he could get away with the situation, and it's his wife is at work or whatever. It's like, that's life, man. Like, I don't think that you understand that that's what people do. And what happens if, like, you know, like I said, the guitar value tanks on the other end of it? A lot of the time when we go over these Am I the Antagonist threads, we don't base it on who's the antagonist, who's right, who's wrong. We base it on victimhood, who got screwed over, and everybody always wants to come to bat for the person that got screwed over, which is the coworker. But I have a hard time thinking that this particular poster right here would have solved this story if it was on the other end. Like, hey, I bought a $50,000 Telecaster. I bought it, and once I found out that I bought it, the $50,000 Telecaster, this wasn't the one that Prince played at his giant concert. I thought it was that one. It was going to be worth 50, or it was going to be worth a lot of more money. So can we neg the deal and like, can I get my money back? This guy would have said, F you, you're dumb. You should have known what you were buying. The same way, it's all about victimhood, not about the whole who's actually right and wrong. But like I said, I'm always open to hearing that I'm wrong. So go ahead in the comment section below, blast me, tell him I'm wrong, tell me how stupid I am and how pompous you think that I'm being right now. But let's go ahead and look at the next reply. I absolutely disagree. When you have an item you want to sell, it's on you and you alone to know the value of it, not the antagonist. There are no takebacks in the real world, except Germany apparently. And I feel like he said he didn't know if it was in it had to do with private contracts or not, but I mean, let's just go ahead and go over one more top comment. Everyone sucks here. You blatantly took advantage of him in his ignorance. He sucks because he didn't research enough and then harassed you and your wife to the point that got him fired. Just a whole messy situation. I don't think you should sell it back to him. You paid a price he gave you, bad on him. You just seriously took advantage of him, bad on you. And like, you know what, I do enjoy that because it's the idea that this is not who's right, who's wrong, who should have the legal standing to go forward with what they wanted to do. It's who's the antagonist, who's the bad guy. And OP is kind of the antagonist because he saw himself an opportunity to come up in the game, but just the idea that, what do I call about it? What do I call it? Like justified antagonism. Like where you see something and it's just like, you know what? That guy needed to get slapped, so he got slapped. That type of situation. So let's go ahead and look at some of those more fun, controversial comments right here. So this person writes, you're the antagonist. I understand if you just took advantage of him, but it was his dad things. And I think that the reason they got the controversial reply because it's not like there was any sentimental value. The guy didn't talk to his dad. It was 6 years since they had ever spoken to each other. So I get how, like, this one just didn't count right here. So the next top controversial post was, not the antagonist. He didn't fully research the value of the guitar before selling it to you. That's on him. Also, harassing you and your wife and getting fired over it, trying to get it back is just so wrong. Just true. And then the next reply to that was, people in this thread are nuts. Essentially anyone who flips now is an antagonist. Literally, finding mispriced assets and selling them for more is a business model of so many companies. The sellers set the price, this is their fault. The guy did crappy research. He wanted to charge market price and got the market price wrong. It's not like he wanted the guitar back because he missed his dad. He wanted the guitar back because he wanted to sell it for more money. He's pissed that he got $4,000 instead of $40,000. Guess what? $4,000 profit was still worth more than he ever knew the guitar was worth. Otherwise, he would have never sold it. The buyer is totally not the antagonist. And the guy came back and then replied and got negative votes, but sometimes my buttons don't work here. But it is true, like this guy saying all that about he still got money out of it. If he just sat in the closet, he would have gotten the $4,000 ever. And it kind of seems like maybe the guy never would have found out unless he sold it for the low price. So whether he sold it to OP or some other person willing to get $4,000 for it, he was just kind of open to be getting screwed over. So I'm not saying it's OP's fault. And the idea that, hey, anybody that flips anything is the antagonist, this is true. I mean, business is business. It's harsh, it's callous. Like, we live in a dog-eat-dog world type of thing. So let me know how wrong you think I am. If you think I'm the big antagonist for saying the things I do, I'm open for your opinions. Let me know. Earn yourself that decoy coin by proving me wrong in the comments section. But like always, if you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you for being here, hanging out during my furlough. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing down below and getting in on that conversation, turning on those notifications, because as soon as the post goes up, everybody comes in with their opinion, and it's really fun to kind of see the debate kind of transpire live. If you haven't already, check out DecoyNoise.com to fill out the polls, give me feedback, and just see more of the content that I provide. But if anything, put this on autoplay and just check out the next DecoyNoise coming up next.